ਹਾਊਸਹੋਲਡ ਨੇਮ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਕੈਮਲੂਪਸ ਤੋਂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ, ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਲਿਖਾਈ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਕੈਮਲੂਪਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਹੋਸਟ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ CFJ ਸਿਵਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਬ੍ਰੌਡਕਾਸਟਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਸਮਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ। ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਫੋਰਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ। RCMP ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੰਬਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਵੱਖੋ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਅਹੁਦਿਆਂ 'ਤੇ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਵੱਖੋ ਵੱਖਰੀਆਂ ਡਿਊਟੀਆਂ ਨਿਭਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਐਲਨਰ ਸਟਰਕ ਹੋਣੀ। ਫਿਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਟੈਫਨੀ ਖੈਜੂ ਹੋਣਾ ਨੇ ਅਸਤੀਫਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਬਾਈ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਕੈਵਨ ਫਾਲਕਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ MLA ਬਣੇ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਬਣ ਗਏ BC ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ BC ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਿਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਹੁਣ ਜਾ ਕੇ BC ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਕਈ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਇਲਜ਼ਾਮ ਵੀ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਨੇ। ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸਮਰੱਥਾ ਬਥੇਰੀ ਹੈ, ਊਰਜਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ BC ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ, ਕਾਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਐਲਨਰ ਸਟਰਕ ਹੋਣੀ, she was quiet for many hours, but now she's talking. Let's find out what was the reason. Is she too much energetic? Does she have some other alternative agenda of doing politics? Or some people say she's a misfit or she's not a team player in politics. Eleanor Sturko ji, sat sri akal, good morning, sat sri akal.
Sat sri akal ji, thank you for having me on.
Who is Eleanor Sturko? Is she a misfit, not a team player, or she has some novel idea of doing politics?
Oh, Dr. Romana, I love being on your show. You always have a great way of asking me questions. You know, I think that I'm a person who's deeply concerned about allegations that have recently come forward regarding elections fraud related to John Rustad's leadership. You know, I've been accused of plotting against the leader of the BC Conservatives, but I want to say this to be clear for your listeners that, you know, I have had conversations with members of my caucus regarding leadership concerns with the way that the party is being led, particularly and very much so about shared concerns about the, corruption and breach of the Elections Act in John's election for leadership. But these are the same conversations that I've had with John himself. Things that I have said to my colleagues are things that I said behind closed doors to them, and also behind closed doors to John Rustad and in caucus to John Rustad. Things that were said, with the intention of helping this entire time help John with his leadership, how not to be so divided in caucus, how to bring the team together. But with these recent allegations, I'm very concerned, and at this point I do believe that it's time for a new path forward. I think that the Conservative Party can win. That's what we need to do. We need to beat the BC NDP, which has driven our province into an absolutely horrific financial crisis. We don't have enough money to provide the social services people need, and the focus needs to be on new leadership, putting us in the best position possible to defeat the NDP.
So where's the problem? Once again, is it the way party runs its personal political affairs and everything, or it's something personal with the John Rustad?
No, it's not a personal issue. To be honest and to be very clear, look, I'm grateful to John for giving me the opportunity to come. He invited me to come to the party, and I'm grateful for that. But after a year of not being able to bring the caucus together, after a year of not uniting the party, after these absolutely outrageous allegations and information provided to caucus members about a breach of the Elections Act with over 2,000 manufactured memberships, primarily South Asian names. Some of the people were actually dead people that were signed up. It comes to a point when you have to ask yourself, do we have to have a change in leadership? And look, I think that these types of concerns, it's our duty as MLAs to bring them forward. And I know that this is probably deeply hurtful to John to have lost support. There's 9 other people the media is reporting that are also unhappy inside caucus, wanting John to resign. And it's hard, but we have to stay focused on what's important, and that is defeating the NDP. Dr. Romana, when you're the leader of a party, you need to be able to keep the focus on the NDP. because we need to be bringing them into the news every day to make sure that people know about the things that are happening and why it is tied to David Eby and the NDP's terrible decision making. But instead, under John's leadership, look, you're here talking to me today again about problems with John's leadership and problems within the BC Conservative Caucus.
So, Eleanor, what I'm getting from you is that it's not only you, there's so many others. You said 9 others are thinking in the same lines that you think. And so that resentment, that, solution-oriented talk in light of all the things that happened during the election of a leader, they're still a matter of debate. That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's what the media is actually reporting today, Dr. Romana. One of the things is that there was a lot of leaks from his caucus meeting on Monday that he had after I was already removed from caucus. Media was reporting on CTV and others that 9 other members of the caucus are very upset, wanting John Rustad to resign. They had someone who came forward anonymously in the news and said that there's at least 2 considering leaving. Look, I think that it's an indication that things are not going well, and it's no wonder. And I think that if you look at the allegations that have been reported in the media, it's important for people to understand that this isn't something I'm just picking out of media. I actually, myself and every other MLA who is in the BC Conservative Caucus, received a communication from the board executive that confirms that over 2,000 memberships were manufactured, that they were only paid for by 3 credit cards, which is a breach of the Elections Act. Serious concerns. And it doesn't matter, Dr. Romana, whether or not the leader benefited from that fraud or not. This happened under John's watch. These are individuals who work on his leadership campaign, are his close personal advisors, those who are working directly for him and with him, appointed by him, and he's responsible. It's time for accountability. British Columbians deserve accountability. Members of the Conservative Party of British Columbia deserve accountability, and they deserve leadership that puts them in the very best position to defeat the NDP. We need this. If you look around at the province, there is almost too many problems to name in a single radio interview, but whether it's healthcare or the fact that the economy is absolutely in dire straits, more than $11 billion in deficit. We're paying $5 billion just to service the debt. That's enough to almost build every school that we need we're behind on in Surrey. It's not a great situation. That's why it's been never more important for a change of leadership, change of direction, to make sure that they're in the best position possible to defeat the NDP. That's why I crossed the floor in the first place. I'm grateful to John for that. And, to be honest, I want to be clear that I'm actually really grateful. And I think getting us to this point as a party it's inspiring. If you think about what happened, John, from leaving one party to bringing it to be this official opposition is admirable. And it is actually a very cool legacy for him. But it's time for a new chapter. And, the disagreement that I had with the leader, speaking about the challenges and problems with his current leadership isn't something I hid from him. And yes, I had other discussions behind closed doors with caucus members, shared concerns. I was often sought out for my advice by other members constantly, since I ever became a politician. And, I think it's important that we make sure that we're in the best position to defeat the NDP.
Your resume, Eleanor, is very colorful right from the beginning. Your school days, your radio broadcasting days, and RCMP and Canadian Forces and everything. But now the fact is that you are an independent MLA for the time being. And my guess is that you are waiting for a call from all those individuals who are not happy with the leadership, or you're waiting for a call from John Rustad, because 6-7 times you said that you want to defeat NDP. So it's pretty clear that you have no love left for NDP. You don't want to go there, even if they call you respectfully or whatever. So you want to be in the opposition. You have, but for the time you are independent MLA. So being an independent MLA, what will be your strategy, given the very slight margin of the lead that the present government has?
You know what? I'm committed to working hard. Even as an independent MLA, I am an opposition MLA. I'm in opposition to the government. I don't support their policies. I'm appalled by the terrible position financially that we're in the province. The UBCM, Union of British Columbia Mayors, is here meeting in Victoria, where I'm at. Right now, they're talking about the needs for housing and investment by the province, and Brenda Bailey, the finance minister, is telling them the cupboards are bare. This is not a good position to be in. So I'm not looking to join any other parties. I am very proud and grateful to continue serving and fighting for the people of Surrey Cloverdale, for Surrey, all of British Columbia. I'm going to keep doing that. My resolve has not been weakened to hold this terrible NDP to account. My voice will still be strong. I will be given opportunities in the BC legislature to continue to ask questions in question period. I will still put out news releases and speak to the media whenever possible. And I look forward to holding the government accountable as I always have.
Other than the alleged irregularities in the leadership election, what are the other things that you don't like about the leader? Because I came to know other day that he drives thousands of kilometers per month, and he's a hard worker, and he's the one who almost made the government a reality.
You know, I mentioned it before, Dr. Romana, like, you know, really the job of the leader, John Rustad's job has been to put the focus on the NDP, to make sure British Columbians understand what the problem is in this province with the NDP's governance. But instead of keeping the focus on the NDP, it's been a constant focus on the caucus, on the party, on the issues, whether it was problems with the AGM that we held and controversy and suspicion over, you know, things not going right with that, or whether now we're talking about Elections Act breaches. You know, it's just been a constant failure of leadership in that regard. And I think that, look, this is awesome that we got this far. And again, I want to say I'm grateful. And I don't want people to think that I have forgotten that it was because of John Rustad that we have the opportunity as Conservatives to be in the opposition. And I think this is really great. But to get to that next level, it's time to graduate to the next level to be in the very best position. We got to beat the NDP. This province is in dire straits financially, and it takes money in the province for us to fix the social issues that we have: crime, street disorder, collapsing healthcare. So, you know, my desire really isn't to have a personal fight with John Rustad. In fact, I hope that this conversation actually leads to renewal in the BC Conservatives under new leadership so that the party can finally defeat the NDP. That was our goal in uniting under the Conservative banner as Conservatives before the last election. And I think it can be done. I think that a strong free enterprise coalition is the path forward to defeating the NDP.
That wider tent that once Mr. Rustad was trying to do in a political scenario, do you think it's wider enough, or in the days to come, some people from your old Liberal Party and BC United Party, those people should be in too, and still the opposition is in the process of making. It's not, the face is not the final yet.
Well, you know what I would say is that if you look at what our goal was, even when I crossed the floor, Dr. Romana, my goal was to be a part of a team that united people on the right so that we could defeat the NDP, to be a coalition of people that got together to have the best opportunity of working together to form the next government. You know, that was a very ambitious goal. And the reality is that under John Rustad's leadership, the right is more splintered than it was before. Don't forget, Dallas Brody and Jordan Keeley and Tara Armstrong also left this party. John Rustad didn't, succeed in having the Free Enterprise Coalition stay together. And that is actually a leadership issue. It's about the relationships that you build, the agreements that you're able to make with individuals who run together, because especially on the right, we have a diversity of views. And I'm actually fine with working with people with a diversity of views. I've been doing that my whole life, Dr. Romana, because, being a member of the LGBT community, it was very likely that I would be working with people who were different from me. And so I have, in that respect, lifelong experience working with people who might not share the same views as me. And that is okay. But it takes very strong leadership and someone who's able to broker relationships among people who have diverse views. And unfortunately, I think that there's probably someone out there better who can unite the right and put us in the best position to defeat the NDP.
And lastly, a quick one. Do you see yourself to be leader of the party someday, if given chance?
No, you know what? I don't think that this is the time for me. And to be honest, that hasn't been my ambition. I know that there's lots of speculation, and I'm so incredibly grateful whenever people say that to me. It's actually such a huge compliment that people see me in a role like that. You don't have to be the leader of a party to be a leader within a caucus, to be the leader within your riding. My goal in joining politics, I've only been in for 3 years, but my goal has always been to fight back against what I see as radical NDP, drug ideology, radical soft on crime policies, to expand our economy and to not be so reliant on the taxpayer. And so, honestly, my goals for the future are making sure that British Columbians have the opportunity to live a good life here. It's really difficult. Like, people write my constituency office every day. They are struggling. I want to help take that burden off British Columbians. So no, as much as speculation as there is, which is frankly very flattering. Okay, I'm flattered, and that is actually a huge honor for people to see me in that way. But that's not my goal, Dr. Romana. And my focus is on sitting now as an independent and making sure the voice of Cloverdale residents are heard in the BC legislature.
You're very accessible, Eleanor, and I want to thank you for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Romana.